Good to see everyone. Please come in, everyone. So there are so many people who I saw in the past, but I haven't seen them recently. So I just would like to explain, because you never saw me perhaps with my cane. This is my cane. And the reason why you never saw me is because I broke my hips. So that is why I walk with the cane. I'm so happy to see all of you. And if we need, we have some more chairs. There's another seat over here in the front. One seat, okay? So tonight we are going to study an amazing parsha. Every time we have a class, I always tell you it's an amazing parsha. But Torah is indeed the most amazing study. We are going to be studying Parshas Beshalach, and listen to every word carefully, because it says, the way we left Egypt, that's how God is going to redeem us in the future. That which happened in Egypt, that's going to happen in the days of Messiah. So right now, carefully listen, we are living in the days of pre-Messianic times. All of the Torah leaders in the world agree, thus Torah agrees, that these are days of Ikvasid the Mashiach, the footsteps of Messiah. We could hear the footsteps of Messiah. Things happen in the world that you can't even understand. Only blind people wouldn't understand it. Just today I heard that 10,000 bats fell from the sky in Australia. 10,000 bats. A few years ago, do you remember we had hundreds of thousands of birds flying from the sky right here in the United States, and hundreds of thousands of sardines, dead sardines, washing up on the shore. Terrible, crazy climate changes. Every minute something else. Volcanoes, and tsunamis and floods and earthquakes. You forget it. We even had an earthquake here in New York a few years ago. People forget. And you forget that we have all the pestilence, bed bugs. In the 10 plagues we had frogs. We have bed bugs. Things happening that never happened before. The first plague, as you know, was the plague of blood. Why? Because the Egyptians believed that the Nile River is is the God. The Nile River is God. And also because they slaughtered our Jewish babies, and the blood of the Jewish people filled the Nile River. So that was the first plague. The God of Egypt is destroyed. Is the God of America being destroyed today? What is the God of America? Nobody believes that the Nile River is God, right? Who is being destroyed? Money. Money is being destroyed. That's the God. So every generation, in every minute, in every second, we have signs that we are coming closer to the Messianic period. Now, the Messianic period is going to be a very difficult time. It's like going into labor. The closer you come to the birth, the more difficult and more painful the labor becomes. So listen carefully to what we are going to be studying, because it's written, as I said, the way you left the land of Egypt, so it will happen to you at the end of days. And I just hope that we will not be fools. We, the Jewish people, are a brilliant nation, but we're also big fools. Because things keep happening, repeating themselves in history, and we never get it. Thousands of years of history. 4,000 years. Almost 4,000 years, and we still didn't get it. Same story in every generation, repeating itself. Masi avot siman labanim. Whatever happened to the fathers will happen to us. And we see the replay, and we don't get it. So let's go to the parsha right away. We are in Parshas Beshalach. 1 second. So the Jewish people right now in our studies are leaving for Eretz Israel. They are departing from Egypt. That which allowed the Jewish people to depart from Egypt, as you know, the last plague was the 10th plague, which was the death of the firstborn. And when we study Torah, it's always very important to study it with the explanations of Rashi. Rashi was the greatest Torah illuminary. When he explained something, words were very concise, cryptic, and very, very deep, but you won't understand it unless you understand what the question is of Rashi. For example, in the last parsha we studied that during the 10th plague, every male, every firstborn was killed, died. And it says that Pharaoh got up in the morning. So Rashi says, Pharaoh got up from his bed. Thank you, Rashi. Do I have to be a Rashi to say Pharaoh got up from his bed? From where should he get up? Pharaoh got up, and Rashi, the great Torah commentary, says he got up from his bed. So what is Rashi trying to tell us? So let me tell you a brief story. This week is my husband's yahrzeit. It's 18 years, high years since he passed away. It's also my father-in-law's yahrzeit. So I dedicated this class to them. My husband, Harav Hagon HaTzadik, Meshulam Halevi Young Rice, and my father-in-law, my husband's father, Harav Hagon HaTzadik Oshev Anshul Halevi Young Rice. Those of you who don't know, I'm telling you, I'm a child of the Holocaust. So tonight you are studying with someone who survived the concentration camps. Very few people are alive today from my generation. Unfortunately, most of them are gone, and if they're here, most of them are ill, and they cannot speak. They are feeble and ill. So when you are coming to study with me, and tell this to your descendants, I studied with Rebbetzin Esther Youngrice, and she survived Bergen-Belsen, the concentration camps. So when you study with me, it's a different experience. So I come from Hungary. Before the Nazis invaded Hungary, they arrested all Jewish young men for slave labor. My father-in-law, of blessed memory, whose yahrzeit is now, died in a hospital in Budapest. He was ill right before the deportation, right before the Nazi invasion. So thank God he was able to be buried, and he was able to come to peace before Auschwitz. My brother-in-law, Yosef Dov, became the new rabbi in the city. He was expecting his first baby, just gotten married. In the middle of the night, the Gestapo, the Hungarian Gestapo, broke the door, and they came in and they grabbed my brother-in-law, the rabbi, had just gotten married, and they took him away. Once you were taken away, chances of coming back were very difficult. Taken to slave labor. From the moment he was taken away, my mother-in-law, Rebbetzin Chayesara, never went to sleep in her bed. She would sit in her chair the entire night, crying and praying, and dozing off for a few minutes, and then waking up again. And my husband, who was the youngest in the family, said to his mother, "Mama, the mamas are getting schlufen. My dear mother should go to sleep. In bed. Es ist spät, it's very late. The mamas are getting schlufen in bed. My mommy should go to sleep in bed." And she said, wie soll kann ich schlafen in my bed? I Yosef Dov is nicht du. How can I sleep in my bed if Yosef Dov is not here? Egypt is burning. Every male baby, every male child, every male adult is killed. And Pharaoh gets up from his bed. He went to sleep. Do you understand this? Pharaoh goes to sleep. Egypt is burning. Pharaoh gets up from his bed. How could you sleep? My brother-in-law is taken, and my mother-in-law never went to sleep in her bed after that. Pharaoh goes to bed. That's what Rashi is teaching us. You follow what I'm telling you? So that's why you have to study Torah. Now we are going to start our parsha, and Hashem should give us all insight. We should be able to understand the deeper meaning. Vahi Beshalach2, and once when Pharaoh sent Esrom, their nation, Vanochom Elokim Derech Eretz Mitzpilishtim, and God did not want to send them through the land of the Philistine, Ki Korafu, although that is much needed, Komar Elokim, because God said, Penilochem home, perhaps the nation will regret coming out and will want to go back to Egypt. There'll be war in the land of Philistines, and they want to go back to Egypt. Now let me ask you, first of all, is it logical to be afraid that the nation would want to go back to Egypt? Would anyone want to go back to Auschwitz? For what? For suffering? For torture? So what is Hashem teaching us? Perhaps the nations of the world, perhaps the Jewish people want to return to Egypt. So therefore, Hashem takes them on a circuitous path. They have to avoid the land of the Philistines, because actually the land of the Philistines was a hip and a scratch. 1 second, a hop and a skip from Egypt. But Hashem takes them on a circuitous path. Why? They'll have to face war with the Philistines, and they want to go back to Egypt. So what if there is war with the Philistines? That's a piece of cake for them. Egypt was the greatest empire in the world, the most powerful country in the world. So they have to be afraid of a minor nation, the Philistines, and Hashem is leading them? What are they afraid of? I tell you, and you have to understand this, because this is today. This is today. It's a very easy path from Egypt to Israel. Just 11 days in those days. Very easy. By donkey, by camel, 11 days. No big deal, right? But, a very big deal. Because there's a terrible war going on amongst the Philistines. And what the war is? Decadence, immorality, filth, degeneracy, corruption. That's a war that's very difficult. God could take us out of Egypt, but we have to take Egypt from ourselves. We have to remove Egypt from our hearts. How do you do that? For God, it's a piece of cake, takes us out of Egypt. But now the task is ours. How do you take Egypt out of your heart? You understand what I mean? It's one thing to go to Kennedy and take a plane, but something else to forget the things that you were involved in, be Times Square, being this and being that. The clubs, the that, and the X-rated movies, and so on and so on. The casinos. How do you take Egypt out of your heart? That's your task. That's my task. See, we have free will. God does everything for us, yes. But we have free will. You had free will tonight. Could have stayed at home, could have gone to a movie, could have watched some other performance, could have gone to the gym, could have played cards, could have gone out to eat, to a bar, and so on. But you decided to come here to study God's Torah. That is your decision. God gives you the opportunity, but will you act upon it? That's your free decision. God took us out of Egypt, but now we have to take Egypt out of our hearts. That's the beginning, the bringing of Messiah. Purify yourself. Understand that this is not your culture, this is not your value system. Today there is nothing that people could be ashamed of. Nothing. I mean, you see stories that it's embarrassing to say it in front of the Torah. I don't have to spell it out, you know. That's our world today. That's accepted. There's nothing that would make a person blush today. Nothing. How do you take Egypt out of your heart? Because if the people go through the land of the Philistines, it's going to be the same thing as Egypt. Egypt had Mem Tet Shari Tumut, 49 levels of decadency, likes of which even Times Square never saw. How do you take all this filth out of your heart? So God takes them on a circuitous path. They shouldn't succumb. They shouldn't have to battle. The battle of the heart and the soul. That's the most difficult battle. Physical battle, that's easy. God will help you with that, and God does help you with that if you appeal to Him. But a spiritual battle, that's in your hands. No one else can do it but you. Let's go back to the beginning of the passage and understand every word. Before I move on, I want you to absorb that in the holy tongue, every word is definitive. I always mention that to you. Every word is definitive, and the easiest example, which I give very often, is how do you say why in French? Pourquoi. How do you say it in Spanish? ¿Por qué? In every language. Why? Why? Doesn't mean anything. What is why? No answers. No answers. But in Lashon HaKodesh, in the Holy Tongue, how do you say why? Madua, which means Madea, what do I learn from this? Or Lama, to what end? To what end is this happening? What is the goal? What is the purpose? Why is Hashem taking me here or there? What am I supposed to see? What is the message? Everything is a message. Is there a message? Yes, there is. But what is it? Just can't just walk around and as if nothing is happening, you just can glide along. God is sending you messages. So it starts very, very profoundly. The passage is, by he, it was when Beshalach2 and Pharaoh sent the nation. Pharaoh sent the nation. By he, and it was, comes from an expression of terrible things will happen. Bad news. There are two ways of saying and it was in Hebrew. V'hoyo, that's Lashon Simcha, that's an expression of joy, and Vayhi, which is an expression of suffering. Difficult days. The Yiddish language is a combination of Hebrew and German. So when you say in Yiddish, Oy vey, comes from the word Vayhi. So what is so terrible? What is happening? Thank God, Pharaoh sent the nation. Isn't it a thank God? Baruch Hashem, dance, sing in the streets. No, it's by he. Beshalach2 and Pharaoh sent. The tragedy is, and we still have that same tragedy with us, that the nation thought that it's Pharaoh who sent them. Who sent them? God sent them. From the moment that the plague started, the situation in Egypt eased. Jews started to have business again. They became comfortable and wealthy again. Jews didn't want to go. And they didn't believe that God was talking, that God was sending them. It's Pharaoh who sent them. Pharaoh. It says Ho'om, the nation. Whenever it says in the Torah, Ho'om, the nation, it means the converts. Converts? Yes. When the Jewish people became very successful in Egypt, when they were the ones who triumphed, after the 10 plagues, the Egyptian aristocracy, the Egyptian nobles, all wanted to convert to Judaism. We don't like to accept converts at a time when things are going great, because then you convert for wrong reasons. For example, if this girl meets this guy Michael, Kathy meets Michael. Michael is rich. Michael is successful. Kathy is not a Jewish girl. Why is she marrying him? Why is she converting? For the Torah or because of Michael and his status in life? She's suspect. She's suspect. You have these guys. They are successful. All of a sudden they have 9 Jewish girlfriends by the dozen. Why? Would the girl marry him if his pockets were empty? Would she? Would that girl look at him? So we are fools, just like the Jews in those days. It's Pharaoh who sent us. It's God who brought you forth. God who brought you forth. It's like a man who somebody says to him, look at the moon. Here, look at the moon. And the foolish man looks at the finger and not the moon. Or let's say there is a horse. A horse has a horse brain. So the whip makes him run. Why? Because he thinks the whip is given to him by the whip. He gets a whip on his back by the whip. But who is really hurting him? Not the whip. The man who is using the whip. So he runs from the whip. But in Venus he runs from the whip because it's the man who has the whip in his hand who is beating him. You follow what I'm saying? People don't get it. So God is the last one in the picture. It's not God. It's this man. It's science. It's this. It's that. Science. You know what I just heard before? You know why the bats fell from the sky by the thousands? It was hot. Climate change. When the birds fell from the sky, you know what people said? They couldn't handle the noise from the planes. Would you believe this? Man will always find a reason. If right now Moses would walk into this room and he would say, tomorrow morning, all the grass, all vegetation, all the trees would be red. Ah, ridiculous. Well, guess what? The next day, everything is red. How do you explain it? Oh, a scientist will explain it. Well, because there was a climate change, there was some chemical, there was this, there was that. But no one sees God. They just see the finger. We're like horses. We're afraid of the whip. But we don't get it. That is the man behind the whip. It's God who is doing it all to wake us up. Ho'om, the nation. Ho'om, the nation, were the aristocrats who converted to Judaism, who converted for the wrong reason. And they are the ones who are constantly agitated. And Pharaoh was very happy to send those converts because they were spies for him also. Just like when the Russian Aliyah started, Russian Jews were able to go to Israel. Amongst them were many spies that the Russian government planted. So you have to be very careful. So this is the beginning of the tragedy. And they came chamushim, it says. Chamushim means they came with weapons. They were well armed. Could that be? Jews leaving Egypt with arms? In those days, the weapons of the Egyptians and the world were horses. The Egyptians would not allow a horse to leave their country. Chariots, no chariots. They went with nothing. What they went with? Matzah on their shoulder. But Hamish, 5, also means something else. Hamishim doesn't really mean their weapons, but really means 5. What's 5? The books of the Torah. They were worthy, this is their weapon, because they would go forth with Torah. They are going to come to Mount Sinai very soon, and God will give them the Torah, and that's why they are worthy. That's why they were worthy to be redeemed, to come to Torah. If a Jew has Torah, no one in the world can hurt him. The Jew is invincible. If a Jew doesn't have Torah, he's finished. And amazingly, it happens in every generation. Do you know why the Jews were enslaved in Egypt? Do you know why? The Jewish people came to Egypt, Joseph was king. Our mission is always to illuminate the light of Torah in every country. Our father Jacob dies. Our father, the grandfather Zadie dies. And the children become very affluent. And they move out, form the neighborhood, from Lakewood, from Borough Park, from Williamsburg, from Muncie. They move out, and now they are spread out all over Egypt. And they become Egyptians in every way. They give up circumcision. It's embarrassing when you go to the bathhouses. The Egyptians, they'll see that you are a Jew. In the beginning, when Joseph became king over Egypt, he was king. He made every person in Egypt circumcise himself. Everyone had to be circumcised because he knew his time would come and they would want to be Egyptians because Jews always like to follow the crowd. But once the Jews started to move out, they gave up circumcision. And the only one who kept it was the tribe of Levi. So what happens? When a Jew gives up his traditions, his Torah, then he becomes the prey, the victim of all those who would hate him, who would destroy him, who would annihilate him. It happened in every generation, so the Jews become slaves. The only one who did not become a slave, the only tribe who did not become a slave, was the tribe of Levi, because they said, we are going to stay, we are going to study. It was an option to be a slave. The Jews didn't realize it, but Pharaoh made a decree. Anyone who will come to help Egypt in a time of crisis, because this is a time of crisis. Egypt is going to be attacked. He made up a story. We need cities of defense. And once they agreed to go, they all collapsed under labor. They became enslaved, never got out. In Europe, fast forward, the Germans come in, they invade, they occupy. Juden, Jews, Arbeit macht frei. Labor will free you. Register now. And people registered. They thought they were going to be registering for freedom, for blessing, for distinction. They are the officers of the empire. They registered for Auschwitz, the gas chambers. And we keep doing that. Levi did not register. I'll stay home with my Torah. It's a big difference. So Voltaire, if you have read any of his works, wrote that more than the anti-Semites persecuted the Jews were saved by the anti-Semites. How do you understand that? If not for the anti-Semite, the Jews would have disappeared. Because Jews want to be like everybody else. We don't have any sign on us that we are Jews. It's so easy to melt in that melting pot, to be absorbed. It's very enticing. I want to be like everybody else. So you drop your Jewish name, drop your Jewish identity. That's what happened in Egypt, we forgot who we were. Whenever a Jew forgets, then there is a Pharaoh or Hitler. In every generation, a Haman. No enslavement, no oppression ever comes upon the Jewish people without reason. Tragically. It's a terrible thing to admit. But if we are going to be helped, we have to understand our illness. So the Jewish people, for the first time in history, were attacked in the days of the Holocaust, not because they were religious, but because they were Jews, the Jewish race. During the Spanish Inquisition, for example, if you decided to become a Christian, you were saved. There was no option given during Hitler's time. As a matter of fact, the Jewish people gave up the Jewish names, and Hitler made Nuremberg laws for Jews. One of the laws was that every Jew must have a Jewish name. So, for example, if there is a lady whose name is Eva Braun, and she's Jewish, let's say, then it should be Sarah Eva. If there's a man whose name is Oscar, then he has to be Israel Oscar. Hitler forces us to have Jewish names. Do you understand this? Your name is your identity. Your name, your Jewish name, comes from God. Every Jewish name in the Torah has a passage. You have a mission. You have a purpose. You weren't born to just run around and have fun and make money. You have a purpose, a mission. It's in your name. But they gave up their names. So Hitler gave us numbers. Numbers. Jewish women decided they will not cover their hair. So Hitler shaved us. Jews married non-Jews. Hitler made an edict. Any man who marries, any Christian man who marries a Jew is to be executed. Christians are not permitted to live with Jews. Do you understand this? Jewish history keeps repeating itself. Jews in Egypt are enslaved. How does it start? The Jewish people spread out all over Egypt. Zadie, Grandpa Jacob is no longer alive, no longer to tell them he's not here. Our generation, the Zadies are gone, the grandpas are gone. It's a generation that is Jewishly orphaned. People don't know who they are. So life has become having fun, going on a cruise, making money, sitting in the sun on the beach. Does that make you a Jew? Is that the purpose of your life? Do you understand what I'm saying to you, friends? So Chamushim means Torah. God redeemed us. That was our weapon, Torah. And then Chamushim means something else also. 5, number 5. All those Jews who decided that they are not going to go out of Egypt because things became good after the plagues. Jews were living, in a very comfortable way. Business, this, that. Who are the Jews who stayed behind in Iran and in Europe? Who were they? Not the poor ones. The poor ones got out. Not the rich ones, I meant to say. Not the rich ones. The rich ones had businesses. They won't leave it. The poor ones tried to get out, to make a better life. The ones who were impoverished, they tried to make a better life. At the end, no one could get out. But in the very beginning, things were good. If you are impoverished, if you needed something, then of course it was different. That was at the very beginning. Afterwards, no one could get out. So you see history repeating itself constantly. We cannot escape our destiny. We are Jews who stood at Mount Sinai, and if we try to escape, God reminds us, more than the entire anti-Semite persecuting the Jew. He saves the Jew because there's someone says, hey, you're a Jew. You're a Jew. You don't look Jewish. Don't act like a Jew. You're a Jew. In any society, in every country, you're a Jew. You're a Jew boy. Could they remove the yarmulke? You fix your nose. You look like a non-Jew. You're a Jew. Because you want to forget. You understand what I'm saying to you, friends? It's our tragedy. We have not learned the lesson in thousands of years. So Chamushim, getting back to number 5, during the plague of darkness, all Jews who decided they will not go forth died. And God did not want the Egyptians to see that Jews are dying. Because God said, if you want to fulfill your mission, come home. Come home. You have a mission. You do not want to fulfill it, come up. Come up. So during the plague of darkness, 4/5 of the Jewish people died. Which meant that so many children became orphans, no parents. So every parent who was there and alive went forth from Egypt with 5 sets of children. I didn't say 5 children, 5 sets of children. What does that mean? In Egypt, every person had sextuplets, 6 children at the same time. That's what we multiplied. We came down 70 strong, we became millions. Sextuplets, 6 children. Now each family would adopt another child. So they had theirs, their children, and then they had children of others. 5 children in every family, couples, sets. It's amazing. That's part of our Jewish genes. A Jew is different. People come to me very often, Rebbetzin, maybe you would know I would like to adopt a Jewish child. A Jewish child. I could tell you, recommend to you adoptions from every part of the world. I don't know for a Jewish child. I could recommend to you a Russian child, an Oriental child, an Afro-American child, a European child. But Jewish children, there's always someone in the family who takes them. If there's a parent who dies, and the child is left orphan, there's an aunt, there is an uncle, there is a cousin, somebody will take them in. No orphans, no orphanages. So we took care of those children. It's part of our DNA, part of our system, part of our heart, part of our entire being. Take care of the Jewish children. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine even remembering the names of all those children? Now you could have 100 children in your family. Just to feed them, just to get, and remember, when they adopted them, they know there would be manna in the heaven falling from the skies. So how do you feed them? This is Jewish chesed. So if you want Messiah to come, easy, today, what do we have to do? 2 things. Those are our weapons. We have to study Torah, know who we are. The average Jew today is a Jewish illiterate. He doesn't even know the titles of the books, never mind the contents. He's a Jewish illiterate. He doesn't know what he is missing. He has no concept. And the second thing that we must do is chesed, loving kindness. Take care of each other. Adopt one another. Teach one another. Love one another. Those are the 2 things that could prevent us, that could protect us from the horrible, horrible suffering of pre-Messianic periods. And God forbid, if there's a war now, there's a man, there's a new Hitler on this block. There's a new Hitler on the block, and he comes from the same country where another Hitler came from. Iran, the birthplace of Haman, same address, and he has to just push a button, and in a few minutes everything is over. And he's getting that button, and no one stops him. The sanctions that they applied against Iran have been removed by our own country. Our own country, do you understand this? It's not he has a green light. He could enrich, and could at the same time kill. No one is to stop him. No one. His bombs, chas v'shalom, God forbid, his weapons, just a question of time. Sanctions are no longer there. Did we learn something from history? No. So Ha'om means that nation, the non-Jews who joined us, and they influenced us in times of crises to abandon, and now we go forth. So it says over here, listen carefully, the Jews are on their way, going forth from Egypt, and it says, okay, just one second. And Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayikach Moshe, et atzmos Yosef, and Moshe took the bones, the casket of Joseph, ki hishbiya, because he swore, as Bnei swore, the Jewish people swore the Jewish people, Lema saying, Pekot yivkat Elokim esem, valisem es atzmos samize itchem. So, Joseph, before he died, gathers his people. He says, God is going to take you out of this place. They will come and be redeemed. A Messiah will come. And the Messiah was Moses. And then remember, when God takes you out, take my casket with you. Don't leave me here. When Jacob died, he called in Joseph and he said, take me to the land of Israel, to Hebron. Don't leave me here. But Joseph cannot make them swear. Joseph just says, God swore, God said, God promised, because Joseph knew he could go to Pharaoh in his days and could say, I have to take my father for burial. But now there's a new king in Egypt. Joseph is no longer there. He cannot have entree in the palace of Pharaoh. He says, please remember that I should be taken out when you go. So now it's ready his time has come to go. The Jews right now are full of great jewels and wealth and rubies and diamonds, everything. Because the Egyptians gave it to them. It's a very critical time. Everyone's going forth very wealthy. All the donkeys were carrying sacks of wealth for each family. They're all multi-millionaires. What does Moses do? Instead of looking for wealth, diamonds, and rubies, what does he do? He looks for the casket of Joseph. Where did the Egyptians bury it? Where could it be? He has no idea, but he's Moses. Not a problem. He could make a direct call to God. He knows the number. No secretaries. He knows the direct line. God, could you tell me where the casket of Joseph is? And God would answer him. No problem. But you know what he does? He doesn't ask God. He goes to Serach bat Asher. Who was she? One of the tribes was called Asher. Asher, which means happiness. He was a very happy son. He was always in a good mood. He was full of blessing. So he had a daughter called Serach. And when Joseph disappeared, when Joseph looked like he was dead, when the sons came to Jacob and said, your son Joseph is no longer here. And said, how can I know? How can we only recognize this bloody coat? Is this the coat of your son? Can you imagine? And for 22 years, our father Jacob was led to believe that his son Joseph was not there. So every single day, Sarah, the daughter of Asher, came to visit her Zaidi, her grandfather, and she made up a song. She played beautifully on the harp, and she made up a song. My Zadie, my grandfather, oh Yosef Chai, I promise you, Joseph still lives. Joseph still lives. Oh Yosef Chai, Joseph still lives. And he saw the bloody coat, Jacob. Is this the coat of your son? He had no hope. Joseph was killed, and every day Sarah comes, Daddy, Zadie, don't be afraid, Joseph still lives. What do you learn from this? You never give up hope. You know what it means to someone when you come over to him and say, it's going to be good. Don't be afraid. Are you a prophet or prophetess? No. But you give a bracha. It's going to be good. Gives you strength, it gives you spirit. If you feel good, it's because you think well, that you think good. If you feel kind, it's because somebody is teaching you to be kind. So Sarah comes every day and she plays her harp. When the news arrives that Joseph really is alive, he's king over Egypt, and this news comes after 22 years. And then the tribes do not know how to tell it to their elderly father. Could get a coronary, could have a heart attack. Such news, from happiness also, that you never anticipated could collapse. It's like, so shocking. So they decide they will tell Sarah. She should tell Zadie. So the boys, the sons, go to Sarah. Tell Zadie. Tell Grandpa that it's true that Joseph is alive, is king over Egypt. So she comes into the room again. And she says, Zadie, my grandfather, it's not a song that I have been singing. It's truth. Joseph is alive. He's king over Egypt. And then the brothers come in and they dance around Zadie Yaakov. And they sing, Joseph is alive. And that's how Zadie Yaakov found out that he's a Jew. His son, Joseph, is still a Jew. And he's alive. He didn't disappear. His son, Joseph, is still a Jew. And he's alive. Do you understand this? Fast forward. During the war, right before the deportation, many Jewish mothers and fathers give away their children to Catholic families or to Catholic orphanages because they are so afraid that the children will be in the gas chambers, which was already established, which we knew after the war is over. There's a Rabbi Eliezer Silver. He's a chaplain, Orthodox chaplain in the American Army. He visits orphanages and says to the priest, you have any Jews here? Any Jewish children? No. Can I see the list of people? Who are they? The names? Gutman, Friedman. These are Jewish names. No. Deutsche Namen is German names. So he said, can I come back tonight? Would like to speak to the children. No problem. Goes back. The children sleep in this big dormitory. And he stands in the middle of the room and he says, Shema Yisrael. He starts to sing Shema Yisrael. And the little children get off their beds and they run to him. That's why they will go to sleep every night. Shema Yisrael. So this beautiful Sarah sings to her Zadie. Joseph still lives. And thousands of years later, this rabbi from the American Army goes into his Catholic orphanage and says, Shema Yisrael, he's singing. And the children remember the song from their mummies, from their daddies. You see, fast forward, not just fast forward with tragedies, but also fast forward with our beautiful Jewish DNA. Now, the others were searching for diamonds, and they found them. Joseph goes in search of Atmos Joseph, the casket of Joseph. Why? Wouldn't have been wiser for him to search for diamonds as well? Why shouldn't be wealthy? It's nice to be wealthy, no? So why didn't he do that? And before I answer that question, remember I asked you earlier, why didn't Moses call out God? Where do you find a casket? How did he find out? You know how he found out? He went to visit the Bobby Serach, because when this happened to Grandpa Jacob, that he found out that Joseph still lives, and Serach was singing to him for 22 years, then Zedi, Yaakov, said to Serach, because you gave me life all these years, you are going to live forever, my daughter. Live forever. She did. When Moses came to Egypt to redeem the Jewish people, Serach was still alive. She became the Bobby of the Jewish people. And we meet her again in the days of King David. And she's the Bobby of all the Jewish people in Eretz Israel in the days of Israel, in King David's days. And she stops the civil war. She was called the Isha Chachama, the wise woman. She survived all those centuries, all those generations. Do you understand this? So Moses goes to her rather than to God, because everything that Moshe Rabbeinu did was for us, for future generations. You have a problem? You know what to do? Can you call up God? Unfortunately, no. You could speak to God in prayer, but not having a direct conversation. You can't call him up. So what do? Go to the Bobby. Go to the Bobby or the Zedi, they will tell you. So Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Bobby Serach, so the nations, our nation, our generations, forever and ever should know, you have a problem, go to your Bobby, go to your Zedi. Do you see what Moses did? To teach us, go to your Bobby, go to your Zedi. We live in a crazy culture where people look down upon elderly people and consider them senile. And they follow young people who have no experience, no understanding, no wisdom. So you see the elderly people emulating the young, the way they dress, the way they act. They make fools of themselves. But Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching us, go to the Bobby, go to the Zedi. Now let me ask you, why didn't Moses collect some money? Why did he go to look for the casket of Joseph? Because it wasn't really his job. Because he was not a grandchild of Moses, or Moses was not a grandchild, a direct grandchild of Joseph. Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and Moses was from the family of Levi. So where does Moses go? Let me tell you a parable. Listen carefully. There's a family. They are very impoverished, don't have money. And there's nothing to eat. So the wife one day says to her husband, sweetheart, I heard that there is this faraway island and the streets are laden with gold and silver and diamonds and rubies. I don't think you have a choice. You have to go there. And brings out some money home. You have to keep our house going. So the man gets tickets to go to that island. After a long voyage, he arrives. And it's true. Gold and silver and rubies and diamonds all over the street. It's true. And he can't get enough. He stuffs his pocket. He stuffs his little briefcase. It's night. He has to go to sleep. So he goes to the finest hotel. And he says, I want a suite. And they tell him how much it would cost. And he takes out the diamonds, the gold, the silver. Sir, what is that? Well, the money I have. The diamonds. Sir, that is junk. That's garbage. in this country, the currency is chicken fat. He doesn't have chicken fat. So now he has to slave for chicken fat. 20 years go by and he's still working for chicken fat. Finally, he has barrels of chicken fat. Now he could afford to go home. He sends a telegram to his wife, I'm coming and will be happy forever and ever. I'm going to buy a big mansion, the best for the kids. It's going to be great. The ship comes into harbor and his wife and the children are waiting. And he gets all very proud of himself. And he says to the porters, bring me my wealth. And they come down carrying smelly, rotten chicken fat. The odor was awful. And the wife looks at him, what's this? That's the money. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? What did you do? For this you went to bring home this junk? That's where you left me for 20 years? Are you crazy? And then he realizes, oh, what did I do? What did I do? I wasted my life, my energy, my strength. How could I have done that? And he breaks down and he cries. He reaches into his pocket for a hanky to wipe his tears, and in his pocket he finds one little diamond. One little diamond. It's on that little diamond that they lived. So what is the story? It's a parable. God launches us into this world to gather diamonds. Mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are diamonds. They brighten up the world. They shine. You could acquire eternal life with them. You could have a good life over here. You could have peace. You could have harmony. You could have meaning and purpose. But we choose to look for chicken fat. We go around to all the crazy places. We spend our money on nonsense. On nonsense. We don't know how to differentiate. We don't know what to do with our lives. We have all become crazy. And then God calls, come home. What did you accomplish? Chicken fat. You see my portfolio? You see my real estate? You know where I vacationed? Do you know I have my own private jet? God. That's it. That's my chicken fat. You fool you. You fool you. That chicken fat stinks. It has a stench. It has no place over it. It's garbage. Where are the diamonds that you were supposed to bring me? Where are your diamonds? Where are the gold? Where are the rubies? You're supposed to bring it to me. What did you do? And then he remembers God. I had one little diamond I found in my pocket. One little diamond. Maybe you davened. Maybe you came to this class. I studied Torah one day. I went to shul one day. I davened. One little diamond. And the rest of your life is all chicken fat. You can't take it with you. You work all your life, and when you go with empty hands. What did you accomplish? What did you do? Where did years go? And when you get older, you say, oh my God, what happened to me? Did I do this? But now it's too late. So God is teaching us something through Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is not gathering the gold and the silver. He's gathering the real gold. Those are mitzvahs. It's the biggest mitzvah to take the arono, the casket of Joseph. It's heavy to carry, but it's so light to carry because that's God's mitzvah. Look at the mitzvahs. Oh, it's so difficult, but it's light because they come from God. And more than you carry the coffin carries you because it's a mitzvah. So never forget this lesson. So now we continue. I'll try to make this very fast. Pharaoh realizes that the Jews left. I mean, he knew, but now things calmed down. So now he's very upset. He says, Moses Senior, what on earth did we do? Why did we let the Jews go? People who are fools don't face and don't accept reality. He creates his own reality. Why did I let them go? You let them go. Egypt was collapsing. What do you mean you let them go? God took them. But he doesn't want to understand that. Now he's Pharaoh again. He makes his own reality. And what the Pharaoh disease is? Pharaoh disease is, and I hope nobody gets it, is to live in a world of your own and not understand your mission and not understand reality. To make yourself blind and deaf. That's the Pharaoh illness. You are here, but you are not here. So now Pharaoh, I'm singing fast, I'm not going through the passages. Pharaoh pursues with his entire army the Jews. We are going to bring them back. And Pharaoh makes an announcement. Anyone who's going to join us for this battle, you have a chance now to come to the treasury, and you are going to be able to decorate your chariots with the finest, brilliant jewels of Egypt, and all those jewels will belong to you. If you join me in bringing back the Jews. Pharaoh himself, goes to the stable to harness his chariot. Now can you imagine a king? It says in the Torah, people who love and people who want to kill. Don't forget the proprieties. They forget their honor, their dignity. So he wanted to kill. So he himself was in such a rush, he didn't want to wait for the stable boys. He took the chariot himself. On the other hand, if you love, Abraham went and also to the stable and also got his donkey, but to fulfill God's mission in Jerusalem. You understand? So if you love somebody, nothing is too hard for you. And you are going to help that person take off his shoes. It's such a pleasure for me to help you take off your shoes. I'm not going to say that the servant should do it. It's my honor, not my servant. I am the one who wants to do it because you love. Is it your honor to take off somebody's shoe? You are a very wealthy man. You are a prominent person. Why should I take off the shoes of this other one? Let the servant do it. No, you want to do it. But if you are a Hitler, then Hitler was ready to give up his own army, sacrifice his own soldiers just to kill one more Jew. Do you understand this? And one little boy escaped in the forest. Hitler was prepared to send an entire platoon of soldiers to capture that one little boy. And he endangered his own army. He saw that he lost. It was from God, of course. He saved us. But, he saw the logic. For hatred, for love. You give up your honor. You forget who you are. And now, it says that the Jewish people looked and they saw Egypt coming after them. Not the Egyptians, Egypt. I mean, Egypt coming after them. Is Egypt coming? An Egyptian is coming. An Egyptian army. Not Egypt. Yes, Egypt. But we were in our cities. Before we were deported, then suddenly we hear, in Hungary they have this cobblestone on the street. It was not the street like over here, cobblestones. Thousands marching, singing their disgusting songs to kill Jews. You know how we felt? Germany is marching against us. Not a few hundred soldiers, not 1,000 soldiers, the entire country. And that's how our people felt. That's how they felt. And they started to cry out to God for help. And it's written, why couldn't they cry when things were good? Why do you only cry when things are bad? Why do you only cry when you're in the foxhole? Why can't you cry when things are good and say, thank you, God, allow me to serve you, allow me to help, allow me to fulfill my mission. Teach me, God, take my hand to walk through the darkness. Why can't you do that? In thousands of years we haven't learned. Only when we are in the foxhole do we scream. Now, God says to the Jewish people, stand straight. Why are you crying just like this? Stand and be confident. Stand like a stone. It's Yatsu, which means stand like a monument, like a metzira, a stone. Don't cave in. Don't be frightened. Jews don't get frightened. Vayisu, and go forth. Travel. Travel well. In front of you is the sea. Behind you is Egypt. You are closed in. Same thing today in Israel. Fast forward. The neighborhood has become so dangerous. Where should Israel go? Every side, all her borders are full of people who want to annihilate her. And if one side is the sea, the other side is that. Same thing. What do you do? What do you do? Hashem says then, go forth. Travel, don't cry, just don't cry. I heard your prayers, but go forth. Where should they go? Into the sea? And Hashem says, yes. Hashem didn't say this directly, but that was that for which Hashem was waiting. And a man by the name of Nachshon jumps into the sea, and the sea parts. Once you jump into the sea will part. You want miracles for your life? Jump into the sea of Torah and the sea will part. I'm telling you it works. Jump into the sea of Torah and the sea will part. And the sea becomes like a wall. So cynics may say that, oh, come on, it was the wind. Because cynics always have some explanation, right? It was the wall. The wind. The wind blew in such a way that the sea parted. The wind. Then let me ask something. If it was the wind, how come the wind roared differently when the Egyptians entered the sea? Egyptians follow. They are following blindly because it's a beautiful land over there. They see flowers, they see trees, they see everything opens up. Now they're following the Jews. They are pursuing them, and they get on that seabed. And as soon as they get in there, the sea wall collapses, and they drown. So you tell me, how did the sea know to become an ocean again, a sea again, just because the Egyptians came in? How did the sea understand that? So if that's not a miracle, I want to have an explanation for that. But man does not want to see the miracle of Hashem because that obligates him. Do you understand this? There was a man in our community who, not from our shul, he didn't belong to any shul. He came to see us one night and says to my husband, Rabbi, you must help me. And my wife, he says, has ovarian cancer. So my husband said, come with me to the synagogue, we'll open the ark. This is my tefillin, I'll put it on for you. We'll pray. My husband goes to kosher the home. The guy starts to come Shabbos to shul. Every Shabbos he was playing tennis. I go and take her to mikveh, the wife. Now the day comes for surgery. NYU hospital, good hospital, the finest surgeon. We come there. I go and the rabbi goes with them to give strength to the husband and to be there to bless her before the surgery. So we come. And we bless her. Now they are taking her up to OR and we are davening. And 15 minutes later, the surgeon comes in. Got frightened, what happened? God forbid, she shouldn't have died or something. He says, I don't know how to explain this, he says, but I can't find a tumor anymore. I have all the CAT scan, I have everything here. And it shows the tumor, but now I can't find it. What this man said? That son of a bee. He made me give up my tennis on Saturdays. I didn't have to do that. I had to give up my best restaurant. Then I had to make a whole mess in my kitchen. Do you understand this? Do you understand this mentality? I could sue him. Misdiagnosis. Misdiagnosis. Do you believe it? Of course you do. You see it all the time. Do you understand the sickness of man? God makes a miracle. No, misdiagnosis. God doesn't exist. God is out of the equation. Do you understand this? Do you understand this happened to Jews who stood at Mount Sinai, who heard the voice of God? Do you understand what has happened to us? Do you understand the tragedy, the catastrophe of our nation? You could cry and cry and cry oceans. If you would know what we have done to ourselves, you'd be crying day and night. Could be saying to me, Rebbetzin, could we have another class? Could we have a class every day? This is our tragedy. That's what happened to us. So now, we conclude. The sea splits. And Moses leads the man in a wonderful song. Oz Yoshim Moshe. Then Moses was singing. Shir Hashem, sing unto God. He's high, high, high. How high is he? There's a blank next to the passage. I'm not going there because it's late, but believe me, it's there. Good look. There's a blank after every word in that song, teaching you that you cannot praise God. It's a blank. What can you say? You're a finite being. What can you say about the infinite? Nothing. So you say, Shir Hashem, sing unto God. Oz Yoshim Moshe, and Moses was singing. The last mitzvah in the Torah, amazingly enough, is the last mitzvah. Write down for yourself this song. What is the song? The song is the Torah. Why is the Torah called the song? Why? I'll tell you a story again. When my daughter got married, and my daughter and son-in-law wanted to take a vacation with their little newborn baby. But how could you go on a vacation with a newborn baby? It's so difficult. So my mommy said, I would love to go with you. That was her dream, going to the Bahamas. She never saw such a thing. So Mama said, I will go with you. Oh, how wonderful, Mama. You will come. Are you sure? I want to go. Mama was always a traveler. She loved seeing things. She just enjoyed everything that was beautiful. And everything. She enjoyed everything. This is a lady from the concentration camps, you understand this. But to her, life was always a beautiful life. So every morning, my mommy, would get up at the crack of dawn, like she always did, and take the baby for a walk on the beach. And as she would walk with the baby, with the carriage, she would sing Jewish lullabies. All Jewish lullabies. And suddenly, she hears somebody say in the back, honey, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? She turns around. She sees a man, an older man. And next to him is a young, beautiful girl. And the girl says, honey, what's the matter with you? And he's crying. Well, it turned out that that man was a Holocaust survivor and his girlfriend was with him, a non-Jewish girl. He came to vacation with her. He was going to marry her. He hears the song. He hears the song that my mama was singing. He goes over to my mommy. Could you sing that song again? My Bobby used to sing it to me. Could you sing it again? He starts to cry. He has write down this song, that's the Torah. Because what is a song? You forget the words. You forget the words, but then suddenly one day, hear the music from your wedding. Just the tune. You ever going someplace and you hear the tune, you hear the music, and your song enters you back into your heart, and you hear the words. You start to hum. The Torah is your song. If we forget the words, you forgot. You forgot. You went through so many countries. You went through so much pain and suffering, so much of exile that was bitter, that is bitter, that is torture. But you never forgot the tune. You forgot the words, but you never forgot the tune. When you hear the tune, something comes back. I challenge anyone to tell me that when they hear Torah, something does not happen in their heart, in their neshama. Of course it does. Of course it does. It's your song. It's your song. So never stop singing, children. They're coming to difficult days. The whole world is against us. Just listen to this what I'll tell you now. If there's a man, one man, who comes forth and decides he's a Meshuggah, he decides he's going to kill every elephant, or he's going to exterminate every monkey, or every bird, or just one species, or a poisonous snake, what will happen to him? Or an ant. All ants he's going to exterminate. What happened to him? They'll arrest him, they put him behind bars. Here comes a man. He decides he's going to annihilate and exterminate every Jew. Does anyone put someone behind bars? Anyone? Does anyone care? Anyone? Does anyone speak up? Anyone? In this whole world, did anyone speak up? Are you speaking up? Do you feel the pain of your people? Do you know how to cry? Of course you know how to cry. Give me this and give me that. God, I need some more money. My business has to improve. I need a job. God, I need a girlfriend. I need a boyfriend. I want to get married. Oh, God, I'm sick. I need good health. Yes, you know how to cry. But God, our people, you people are suffering so much. 2 boys were just killed in Israel. 10 boys were just killed in Israel. 1 boy, 100 boys. A family was killed at. Do you stop to say a prayer? Do you stop for a moment and think, well, what are we going to have for lunch? Where should we go for dinner? Business as usual. Sing a song unto your God. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. You are the children of the song. The song that will always live in every Yiddish neshama. Listen in the middle of the night. Wake up and listen. Ask Hashem to sing the song to you, and you'll remember Sinai. Take a few minutes in the middle of the night, and you'll sing the song, and the words will come back. So I want to give you all a blessing. Tonight is the yahrzeit of my saintly husband, 18 years. And my saintly Zaidi, my father-in-law actually, but he was like a Zaidi, my husband's father. Tonight, I remember them, and their life was a song. Day and night they were singing the song. Even in the concentration camps. We the Jewish people are singing songs. We created a song in the concentration camps. Ani Mamin, I believe. Ani Mamin, I believe. Never forget, children, who you are. Don't allow the craziness of this world to demoralize you, to infiltrate you, to destroy you. Remember who you are. It's the name of my husband, name of his father. I'd like to give all of you a bracha, because if he could talk to me now, that's what he would say to me, give a bracha to the people. Our people, Yevarechechu Adonai v'yishmerechu, Yevarechechu Adonai polo v'lecho v'yikonechu, Yisrael Adonai polo v'lecho v'zimlechu shalom. Hashem should help you all, my Jewish children. You should always know who you are. Never lose your way, and don't waste your life on chicken fat. Live your life for Hashem, for Torah, with meaning, with purpose. Don't get caught in the craziness. I speak to you from my heart. Forgive my tears. But I speak from my heart. And my heart is full of love for each and every one of you. I hope to see you week after week. At least once a week you should come, you should study together and sing God's song together. I love you all, and you're all invited to please join us downstairs, where we have refreshments for everyone, and at the desk we have delicious, beautiful, fresh holly donated in memory of Chayugol the Fega Bas Yitzchak.